Welcome to Tansson TV Plus. I'm Brandon,
And I'm Mom.
and we're so excited to have you. And Mom, how are you doing today?
I am doing fine, Brandon. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. And Mom, are you able to let the audience know what we're doing today?
Yes, we're once more keeping on the trend of the winter discussions, but we're going to talk about Facts of Life. And we're going to talk about one of my favorite episodes, which is Christmas in the Big House. And like I said, that continues with our winter theme.
Yes, it does, and I'm definitely excited for us to do this. As you mentioned, one of our favorite episodes, episode 116 of the series. And Mom, can you let us know what we need to know?
Basically, the girls sing to actually prisoners. That's basically it.
Well, Mom, thank you so much for that.
You're welcome, Brandon.
Yes, and yeah, I think this episode just truly embodies the Christmas dilemmas, as we say here on TV Land. And I know back last year when we were doing a lot of Christmas themed episodes, we had certain criteria. And so, what are we going to do this time around?
Well, Brandon, we're going to look at some of that criteria because for our audience will know, we've got a couple shows that we're going to be TV shows that we're going to be doing. And so I thought it would be nice to kind of bring back the criteria and see if any of these actually fit the things that I kind of made up last year. All right. So first of all, does the show have this episode, I should say, has some sort of nostalgic feeling? Um, I think it does in the sense that it does involve the prisoners and the fact that they want to go home for Christmas if they could. And that's kind of like an overriding theme for this particular episode was kind of wanting to go home for Christmas. And so, and the girls themselves, the songs that they sing to the prisoners are songs that they sang, I think, a couple years ago. They just sang a couple years ago, or so they claim anyway. And so, so I think there's a nostalgic feeling. What are your thoughts, Brandon?
Yeah, I mean, this episode certainly did have quite a nostalgic feeling. I mean, in the episode, we're able to see that, the characters are all reflecting on the past and and some of their past deeds and giving back. And they're like, well, Blair doesn't give back, and then she surprises everyone and says, "Hey, I'm going to give back in a big charitable fashion." And sure enough, that didn't quite work out in the way Blair wants it to.
Yes, yes. And then full of songs. And this episode was that. So, I mean, there were so many songs in this particular episode. We had A Little Touch of Christmas, we had Oh Holy Night, Jingle Bell Rock, and of course, I'll Be Home for Christmas. And so it was full of songs. I don't think you could disagree with that one, Brandon.
No, it certainly did have quite a bit of songs in there.
Alrighty. And then we've noticed that Christmas or holiday TV shows, there's a perfect gift that they're looking for, and in this episode, for me, perfect gift, if they could, would be if the prisoners were able to go home for Christmas. So physically, there was not a gift there for this one. More likely, I should say that the girls singing for the prisoners was the gift to them this year.
Yes, and that is, I think, like I said, that big gift that they're giving, especially in terms of giving back.
Yes. And then a lot of times there's a Santa twist on most of these shows. There wasn't quite a Santa twist on this episode. I'm sorry. So the warden, if I remember correctly, had on a Santa outfit. Did he?
Uh, yeah, the warden had a Santa hat and maybe some of the gear, but I mean, I don't think it was most of it.
Okay. And so they're really, that's for this particular item. It was there, but not there. So, anyway, and then we talked about these shows kind of have a family feeling. The winter episodes have a family feeling. And this one did because it was just the way they sang the songs. It was very homey and very familiar. So that family feeling was there. Do you agree or disagree with that, Brand?
Oh, it 100% had a family feel. And even Joe mentioned to Blair, it's just like, this is what I would want, when her dad was in jail. And so, yeah, I definitely had that family feeling to it.
All right. And then one of the other things I kind of mentioned was sometimes they have a memorable quote or saying. And in this one, I thought it was "I'll be home for Christmas" because that's just, as I've kind of mentioned this several times, when I think about this episode and what I remembered about the episode when I watched it originally was really that one line, that solo that Blair sang. stood out, and I remembered that from many years ago.
Yeah, and even for me too, in terms of things that they verbally said. I mean, there's no doubt about it. That is the most memorable saying in this episode.
Yeah. So I will say for me overall, I just thought this was just a very cute episode. It kind of brought that warm fuzzy kind of winter Christmassy holiday spirit type of show. And so for shows to watch for the holiday season, if you're looking for just something nostalgic, I say go back and watch this episode of Facts Live.
Yeah, and definitely do. And yeah, I think something that we didn't speak about as much, though, something that I think is most memorable is the little mini skit that Joe and Natalie did.
Yes, they had a very cute little skit together.
But yeah, and so I think the visual image of that is probably what I always will resonate with in terms of this episode.
Yes, and I didn't know that a lot of the images, of course, that they used in this episode was actually on part of the theme song.
Yeah, definitely was a memorable one, and I did want to speak a little bit. So we watched the full version of this episode that Sony had uploaded to YouTube, and this is probably one of the first times I had seen this, or at least in a long time, that was not the syndication cut.
Yes, and it looks like on the syndication cut that they cut some of the songs, whereas maybe I should say cut the length of some of the songs, and so it's nice to see it in its entirety.
Yeah, because I know, like for Tootie, her song did went into numerous songs, in this full cut, and I don't even remember all that. I just remember Jingle Bell Rock.
Yeah, and the same here. I do remember the original one when it came out, and I did remember that it was longer. But after watching the syndication for so many years, you forget about that until you finally see the original cut.
Yeah, and even some small things like Joe and Natalie snapping in the middle of their performance, and Mrs. Garrett going to go speak to all the inmates for like a whole minute or so.
Yeah, I truly did not remember Mrs. Garrett doing that.
Yeah, I remember seeing a version where she goes over to speak with them, but not to that length.
Yes, yes.
But yes, and so, Mom, is there anything else that you want to speak about for this episode of The Facts of Life?
No, I just think it's a nice, pleasurable episode and something that people should watch, especially if you're in the mood for listening to a few Christmas songs.
Yes, definitely. And I will note too that The Facts of Life. This is I believe, the third time overall that we have spoken about this in our numerous iterations of doing these TV talks.
Yes, and we have some more that we said we want to speak about, um, maybe in the future, um, as for one of our theme months.
Yes, and I'm definitely very excited. Of course, the episodes we spoke about were the pilot episode, which aired for Different Strokes, the first episode on the series premiere of this show, and the Halloween episode.
Yes, yes. You could tell that we liked Facts of Life.
Definitely. And something that I didn't realize until just a moment ago in the midst of recording, because I'd written down the date this aired. This aired December 19th of 1984.
Oh wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. That is that is 40 years ago.
Yes, and so assuming that this does release for you on December 19th, this would be, by pure coincidence, on the 40-year anniversary. I mean, what do you think about that?
That is incredible. Wow. 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 And the audience does not need to do any math on me. So so we thank all of you guys for watching today.
Yes, we definitely, thank you. And let us know, are there any other episodes of The Facts of Life that you want to see, or any more Christmas shows?
Yep, let us know. All right. Thank you, everybody.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye bye.